Welcome to 4T's Media Channel for invaluable insights, information, guidance, and resource content to inspire inner city youth, parents, educators, and professionals to overcome the many challenges and struggles within their environment. Welcome to 4T's Media. Welcome to 4T's Media. Thank you to all our supporters, providers, subscribers, followers, all of you. Welcome. Thank you so much for your continued support and patience with us as we continue to do the hard work on the front line in helping inner city youth as a professional youth development organization that helps students excel in their education to establish successful careers and entrepreneurship. It's been a challenge, needless to say, to provide updates on the progress we're making as an organization, but rest assured that work is being done and progress is being made. This is time consuming. Um, but we don't quit, we keep going, and that's why you're here. and um, this is being up, this content is being provided. I needed, with everything going on, I needed help. So I'm grateful for my team, uh, my assistants, my executive assistant in particular. We're in our meetings, we were talking about ways we could keep everyone informed in regards to our progress. There's been many videos prior that you see where I say I'm here and I do better. And trust me, I'm sincerely trying to carve out time, but it's a challenge. Putting out fires, life be life in. This is a famous cliche now or quote. But there are a lot of things going on, and it's a huge challenge to try and provide all of you with uh, continual updates. Um, for a number of reasons, just particularly, there's been a lot of things going on. Not to get too long-winded, personal life, circumstances, the pandemic, COVID, that whole partnerships, and so just to say, long story short, there's a lot of things going on, which makes it extremely difficult and challenging to keep all of you updated. But nonetheless, we're grateful that you're still here, and just stay tuned. Just keep us there. Don't worry. You'll see a lot more updates. I know I said it before, but hey, I'm here now, so at least there's some validity to it was still around. So that's important. So the point I'm trying to make, reason for this is my team and I, we talked about ways to keep you all informed because this is an organization designed to, right, educate and inform um, those within the neighborhood. I don't like to use community because it's more to it than that, but particularly the demographic or the area of inner city youth who are, you know, struggling in today's society with what's going on and the whole gap. So going forward, I will be giving my perspective, point of view, and some insight, hopefully some valid information and tangibles that you can use as a inner city student. For you parents, caregivers, and guardians, you can share with your child. For educators in the education system that uh, pretty much teach inner city youth, or organizational leaders in the neighborhood or the inner city, as well as business owners in the city. Hopefully, some of this information can be of benefit to you. Project 2025 is this initiative that was brought up recently and is somewhat relevant to today because we have the elections coming up in the next, what, we in September? So 2 months, right? And I just wanted to touch base on this. Now, Project 25 is the initiative. And here's one of many articles that were written on it. This particular article was written by Libby Stanford, July 8th, 2024, and it's titled What It Is and What It Means for K-12 If Trump Wins. Compliments of my assistant who brought this to my attention, who thought it'd be a good idea that I give my POV, point of view, perspective on it. Now, it's a long article, as you can see, 4 pages. Okay, I'm not going to go into every line by line. I'm just going to highlight key two key paragraphs in it for the sake of time. So this one right here, this paragraph right here, I want to touch on real quick. Okay. For K-12 schools, the agenda proposes a complete restructure of governance at the federal level and the eventual elimination of key federal funding source Title I, which provides grants to schools with large populations of low-income students. My perspective, point of view on it is common sense. Basically, this project aims to remove the little funding revenue from schools with a high population of inner city youth. Pretty much that's it. The little funding that these schools with high populations are getting, they're trying to remove this project. Not they, but this project initiative proposes to remove that little funding. And as we already know, inner city youth in particular is struggling already as is in a dysfunctional education system, such as the Department of Education, which needs a huge revamp. So it behooves me to think how taking the little funding or resources that it is going to, in any way, shape, or form, improve or better the situation. Okay? Why am I saying this in this particular, uh, highlighting this particular paragraph? For inner city youth, this is what you're you're dealing with. You're in an educational system that's failing you already. And now there's an initiative that's being proposed by a certain party. Let me say this. I am not an advocate of the Democrat or Republican Party because, in my opinion, my point of view, that they're different sides of the same coin, the two sides of the same coin. They're all playing games, in my opinion. None of them are serious, really taking into account, those who are in need. Democrats, in my opinion, pretend that they're for the people or people of color, but their policies does not reflect that. And we already know the Republicans and all that. And I already know that, I'm not going to get too specific, but years ago, the Republican Party was the Democratic Party. It was the Democratic Party acting like the Republican Party is acting today. And the Republican Party was acting like the Democratic Party is acting today. So if you do your history, you do your research, you'll see this, which is why it contributes to my point of view in regards to I don't trust either party. Okay. But I digress. So young people, this is what's going on. Students in the inner city, this is what's going on. So whatever little funding that you were getting in your schools, whether you realize it or not, imagine that little funding being taken away. Imagine what your school will look like. Imagine the quality of teachers you have. Imagine the quality of lessons that you're getting. Not to say that you're engaged in the lessons currently anyway, right? But just so you know, this is this is what's going on in the political realm that you're not exposed to yet. Okay, I'm going to address the problem for it and then follow up with the solution. As far as parents, caregivers, and guardians, same thing. This is what's happening, right? Self-explanatory. If you thought the schools weren't doing enough, imagine how much I don't know how I'm trying to phrase it. Imagine even less being done now if this initiative is implemented. Okay. As far as educators, you're not getting paid enough. I mean, we've had articles and stories. You're getting paid this abysmal. It's just embarrassing. You don't have enough to pay studies and everything that's been going on, regardless of you even having, as educators, having to purchase your own school supplies for school. That's unheard of. Makes no kind of sense. So with the little funding that your schools in inner cities, high population of low income students was getting, where you as teachers had to come out of your own pocket with the little money they were giving you and come out of that to get school supplies for your students. If this initiative is implemented, imagine what that's going to look like. I better. And to that point, this makes no kind of sense. Okay. Counter arguments, we'll deal with that if I get to it. As far as organizational leaders within the inner city, this is the quality, or this is the quality of students that the Department of Education is producing. This is what you see now. Imagine how it would be with even less funding. Right? So, organizational leaders in the community and then business owners, this affects your pockets as well because the educational system is producing this quality of student into the workforce. How beneficial do you think that's going to be to your business in that inner city community if you have products of this environment? I hate to use it in that terms, but students coming out who even now to some degree can't afford your product, or if they can afford it, just through some other means, which most likely isn't legal. Okay. So imagine funding being taken away from what currently exists in the education system now. So those are the problems. I'm going to cover the next and then I'll finish it up with my suggestion on what are some possible solutions. Okay. So now, as we scroll down, there's another aspect of this, which is the agenda, which is this part right here. Right. The agenda seeks to advance private school choice and parents' rights policies that have already become popular in many Republican led states. By the way, this is a Republican initiative, right? But it would also change the entire fabric of federal education policymaking and how federal education laws are enforced by eliminating the education department and devoting the federal education functions that remain to other agencies. So, eliminating the education department and developing a so-called federal education functionality or institution that remain to other agencies. So again, paraphrasing in another way, because this was confusing, get rid of the education Department of Education and replace it with something else, right? That does basic functions, basic educate, basic federal education functions. Um, that I guess is a dismantling of the Department of Education and creating little different entities. And from my from my view, what I'm gathering from this is it's trying to take the government out of the education system and leave it to the states. This is a big push for the Republican Party. That's what they're trying to do, right? Each individual state controls their education um, area. Yes. So this is the argument for this proposal, this Project 2025. Take it out of the hands of the government and leave it up to the states and how they want to educate their populace or their population. That's basically what it's saying. It's abysmal on its face. And I want to say this for students, parent, caregivers, guardians, educators, organizational leaders, business owners. I strongly suggest that you read this book called The Black Tax by Sean Rochester. It'll give, it'll provide some clarity on why this proposal in and of itself is a joke. Not a joke, haha, funny, but a joke and is just a blatant slap in the face of a community, and particularly a specific community being PLC, people of color, African Americans, Hispanics. It's a slap in the face. On its face value, it's a slap in the face. Because if we leave it up to the states to govern the education policy, it'll be just like Brown versus the Board of Education all over again. There's no getting around it. Y'all can, the counter argument, the pushback is a joke. It's, in my opinion, my point of view, it's a joke. The federal government is abysmal in and of itself, and instead of looking at a policy or an initiative that's going to take resources away from it, should be looking into investing more resources, but not just investing more money into the government, but to evaluate the money that currently already has and fix it. A lot of this money is going to the wrong thing. If you evaluate the funding the government already has and correct where it's going so that it goes into the areas that need it the most and have people in position to implement these resources effectively, you might not even need as much money invested into the government in the area of the education system in the first place. So I'm not saying pump more money into a dysfunctional system. I'm saying evaluate the money that's currently already there and effectively disseminate it into the areas that need the most help. Quite possibly, the result may be you don't even need any more money invested in it. You may need even less because it's being given to the areas that need it the most, which will produce the most effective outcome. So this is my take on that article. I will be providing more insight on this as far as Ortiz is concerned. Forgot to mention for Ortiz, teaching teens to think. This is what we do. As far as the solutions to this, that was one solution that I gave, but that's out of, to some extent, your control as a student, parent, caregiver, guardian, the rest. That part was out of your control, but not that much. Well, let me not say out of your control. You don't have that much direct influence. What you can do is study your electoral college, study the voting process, understand there are levels to this. Just don't focus on every 4 years the election. Appoint, do your research on who is in your local governance, such as your senator, your assemblyman, your council person. Start evaluating who they are. Start looking for and supporting candidates whose actions speak louder than their words, and start supporting them and getting them into office. So that way the people that we put in office speak for you and gives you more leverage as a populace as to the policies and legislations that's being passed that don't look as embarrassing as this. That's one solution that you have somewhat control over. The other solution is to you yourself, based on your inherent skill set, based on what you do naturally. Focus on improving that area as a student in particular. This is what we teach. Select a college that caters to your natural skill set that'll help you advance in that education because it's something that you do naturally in order to establish a career and not just get a job. It's more to it than that. But these are things that you can do in your direct control that you have control over, full control over as a young person, as a student. That's another solution. Focus on that. And if that so happens to coincide or align with politics, then seek those who support your policies. Get out there, market with technology, what you offer, and then be one of these elected officials that has a say in the policies and legislation proposed for the inner city community to which you grew up, came out of. As far as parents, caregivers, guardians, provide your child with support in the areas by identifying what they're naturally good at and pour into them, encourage them, motivate them to achieve what I just mentioned to them. As a parent, caregiver, or guardian, as well as you, you can as well improve your skill set, although it may be somewhat limiting because you're working, in some cases, more than one job. Start looking into identifying what your inherent skill set is and pivoting from your 9 to 5 to whatever that is with technology today and leverage that. So that way you can veer off into a career that's more rewarding for you, more encouraging for you, more inspiring for you. And you can be an example for your child that they can look up to, and you can create that path more effectively. As a parent, caregiver, guardian, that's under your control. The 9 to 5, not too much, but you can still take time out, reserve or block out an hour a day, and really just that's bare minimum, an hour a day to invest in yourself in identifying what you do naturally and then use technology to build on that. That's There's much more to it than that, but at least that'll give you something to think about. As far as organizational leaders, you can create programs and or services that encourages inner city youth or provide inner city youth with the tools and resources needed to help them in that area. As an organizational leader, you can put your support, your efforts into identifying local government, councilors, assemblymen, things of that nature. Just like I mentioned at the beginning, that will put people in position in government that will pass legislation and policies that reflect and address the needs of the neighborhood, quote unquote, community, that will change this outcome and help these inner city youth make the world a better place and support your organization's initiatives as well to help these disadvantaged communities develop to be more productive in society. And as a business owner, same thing. Provide products to the inner city or disadvantaged communities or neighborhoods that can help them in whatever capacity that may be, in whatever product or service that you're offering. Create or modify your existing product to um, help these inner city youth achieve their goals, as well as put your financial backing and or support to local government, such as assembly. I already mentioned the same thing, um, to change these policies and legislations that's being passed. And this final note I want to make: the only reason why these policies are allowed to exist in the first place is because we within the inner city aren't doing enough. We need to be louder. And this isn't to say if your niche or your area of expertise isn't in politics, that's fine. whatever your niche or your specialty is in, you need, and my suggestion is you need to build that up to make more of an impact in that area, that you can support those whose initiatives or skill set is in the area of politics, right? So, for example, if your area of expertise is in accounting, you can leverage that experience or expertise to those local officials in that area to help them with their accounting. This way you can be be in the know, be in the loop to a degree, and also ask suggestions in those conversations that relate to the community that you're in. So although your skill set might not be in politics, if your skill set is in an area such as a corporate or accounting, this is just an idea of of how you can contribute to changing this nonsense that's going on, and not feel so helpless. So those are my solutions. Stay tuned for more. I have more insight and point of views on the various kind of events that's happening and how it relates to the city. Again, thank you for your support. Stay tuned. Take care.